my topic. They're going to be short, and we'll probably, unless these really turn into broader discussions, we'll be able to hit some other stuff at the end and keep asking the questions in the comments. First one is the activist letter to Alphabet. Only a short thing here is TCI Fund, which owns a $6 billion position in Alphabet, which is pretty small for an Alphabet, but still not a tiny position. And they said that Alphabet basically has a way larger expense base and pays employees too much, even versus the big tech competition. So here's some numbers they gave out. Headcount at Alphabet grew by 14% a year from 2013 to 2017, but by 20% a year from 2017 through Q3 2022. Median compensation per employee, which I guess that's redundant. I wrote that wrong, is 67% higher than Microsoft. So those are the big two things. And they just said that if you look, you just tame off the headcount growth, maybe don't grow in 2023 and then just grow at a smaller clip. And then you pay your employees comparatively to, say, your competitors. They think that it's really easy to get to 40% EBIT margins at Google services, which last quarter had 32% margins, which is still quite impressive given how egregious this pay is. And just for reference, the big difference would be at last 12-month revenue, that would equate to $100 billion in annual profits just from that division. And yes, there's other bets that eat into it a bit. But yeah, two questions I had. Is TCI right here? And can we trust Alphabet to implement the cost cutting as all the other big tech companies, except, well, some of the big tech companies seem to be embracing the layoffs as we head into the close of 2022.
Is TCI right? Yeah, but I'm reluctant to tell like these executives how many employees they need.
Well, what about the pay per employee? I mean, that seems pretty bad to me.
Maybe, but most of their employees are headquartered in Palo Alto. Microsoft's are headquartered here in Redmond.
Well,
Maybe a little bit of a different cost of living, but
yeah, kind of. But Google, I mean, Google has
Google's
people
everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, 67%. That's high.
Yeah, and it's hard to kind of yeah, it's hard to step on their side, but
So why think about how strong their margins would be
maybe
if they
idea is
only
that their
grew
developers are so much better.
but
But
are they? If they were, then the revenue would be growing faster because they're not putting up, I mean, they're putting up good numbers, but it's not. Microsoft's is putting up just as good. Apple's putting up just as good. I didn't run this sort of analysis because it would take a little bit more work. Apologies, everyone. But if they only grew headcount at 14% a year at the same rate they did from 2013 to 2017, I think the margins would be, you'd be surprised at how good they would be over the last 12 months.
yeah, I wonder if some of it's just laziness. And I also keep thinking, I'm like, all right.
Or it just gets out of control. Like you just can't control it anymore. The hiring
Yeah, anytime
process.
there's a problem, you say, all right, we got to fill that by hiring someone to do it. Instead of
Yeah.
saying, well, maybe all these people that are working on something could also, it's like we've kind of talked with people who are in the industry, have friends in the industry, and you get these projects and you kind of just get committed to those one projects, and you just do that for, you might join a business and you do that with your little team for a while. And it's easy, I think, for management teams to say, okay, well, any new problem or any new role we want to fill, we're not going to take our existing team. We're going to hire someone else to do it. I think it's kind of, it can get addictive.
Yeah, addicted to hiring. Yeah. The
other thing, I would have
ahead.
thought, who gives a shit if they write this letter to management? Like, it's Google, $1 trillion company. Great. You have a $6 billion position. I can only imagine how big your fund is. Like, that is a lot, but it's not enough to make significant changes, probably.
And the people in control are on their private islands in the Caribbean.
So I would think, who cares? But what's his name? Brad Gerstner, Altimeter Capital, wrote the same letter to Meta, which he has
It,
no say.
it worked. It kind of
Layoffs
worked.
can. Yeah, so maybe these formal letters do work in some way. Uh,
Yeah, they actually mentioned Altimeter. Here is the anecdote. I'll read the quote. Our conversations with former executives of Alphabet suggest that the business could be operated more effectively with significantly fewer employees. We agree with Altimeter's Capital's Brad Gerstner, who wrote, it is a poorly kept secret in Silicon Valley that companies ranging from Google to Meta to Twitter to Uber could achieve similar levels of revenue with far fewer people. Yeah, he's probably right. Here's what's interesting though, is people talk about the founders of Google. What's their name? Larry Page and forgetting the other guy's name. It's brain fart. Uh, about how they didn't Sergey. Yeah, they talk about how they didn't care about profits. They don't even care about the business. They just invented a money making machine, and it kind of just took itself from there. And they let Eric Schmidt kind of take over and run the business side of things. But what's weird is that when they left, that's when employees count started growing way quicker. And I think maybe the pandemic hurt things because, we've seen with the work from home, people in the tech industry and office jobs that can work from home, signing up for multiple jobs. We've seen that type of stuff and how there's so many anecdotes. And yes, this is just kind of on Reddit. So I don't know how
I think
prevalent
those
it
are
is.
the outliers.
But those are the outliers. However, there's also the ones that I think are more relevant. Is this team hired me at tech company, X services company, whatever, and I only have to work an hour a day, and they pay me great, and they don't really have much for me to do. I think you see those anecdotes a lot, and yeah, I think it could be solved. Maybe it comes back to the beginning. Maybe not solved by firing 50% of your workers overnight. But I think it'll be really interesting because let's come back to the second question. Should we trust Alphabet to rationalize expenses? I don't think we should. And this might be bad because we do own the stock, full disclosure at this moment, we do. But I don't think we should trust them because they have never shown to care about this. And it might not matter. And I don't think it will matter just because of how good of a business Google search is and how cloud is going to inflect to profitability. But man, they could be so much more profitable.
Yeah, they could. I don't know. Give them time. I think Favre in the comments might be right here that layoffs are only just beginning.
Well,
the other part that's interesting,
go ahead.
And this is like, I think you let the bear market ride out for another year, and suddenly those flexible working conditions that were so sought after in 2020 are going to disappear. There was someone was talking. I think Tobias Carlisle and Jake were talking about it on Value After Hours, and they were like, yeah, it's in the bull markets, work from wherever you want, whatever you need, we'll provide it for you, we'll do all that. And then it's, if the bear market lasts long enough, you're in before your boss, you leave after your boss, or you don't worry about coming in the next day. And I think people, it sounds harsh because it's not like we're working some like prestigious job that's like a great responsibility to civilization, but I think working conditions are going to get like tougher.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know about the like stay late thing, just because I think people are just kind of focused on doing quality work and making sure they're not slacking. But yeah, I think it would definitely. I mean, look, here's another stat from the letter that I didn't put in here. The median compensation per employee at Alphabet is $296,000. And that's before paying for lunches, right? All the stuff that comes along with hiring an employee. Yeah, I mean,
that stat alone means they are masquerading margins.